Powered by Riverside.
What's going on, everybody? And welcome into a brand new episode of the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Codd, and welcome everybody to what is it now? The end of week number 7 in the NASCAR Cup Series season already. Oh man, it's been flying right by. Kind of in a really fun part, in my personal opinion, of the 2025 Cup Series schedule, right? We had the two super speedway races to start the season off. We had Coda for that road course. We got a little appetizer with that. Then, of course, we end up going out to our miniature West Coast swing in regards to Phoenix and then Vegas. And we go to Homestead and we go into this awesome Southern heritage tour of Martinsville, Darlington, and Bristol as we enter Easter. So, welcome on in. Appreciate everyone listening to us live on YouTube at the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast. If we're going to start this off right away, if you're listening to us live on YouTube, feel free to chime in with us at the Blown Engine chat line. So again, if you're with us on YouTube, you can go into your chat, write up any thoughts. If you're listening to us live, would love to hear from you. Again, let me be the voice of reasoning. If your favorite driver screwed up this past weekend in Martinsville, if you're really just fed up with the whole Xfinity series on short tracks, which we're going to get to in this episode, because I've listened to some of our fans, I've watched the replays down in Martinsville, and I have to say this. I am getting really, really tired and exhausted of watching those races and at Martinsville in the Xfinity Series ending with a 15-car pileup on the front stretch. It is a short track. Let's get your shit together. So if you're fed up about that, chime on in. Again, if you're fed up, we're going to be discussing America's favorite driver, and we're going to talk about how he's overrated tonight. Now, if you disagree with that, chime on in. So, before we get tonight's show started, talking about Martinsville, and as we enter into the throwback weekend, a couple show announcements. We're going to kick things off first with, like we usually do, if you enjoy listening to us live on YouTube, again, every Wednesday night we have our live stream broadcast at the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast YouTube page. Follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube. That's our I think personally YouTube's my favorite platform to use at this moment. I do still love myself some Spotify. Again, speaking of Spotify, follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. If you missed our live episode, our episodes will be posted on those 3 subscribers the next day. If you really enjoy what you're listening to from our podcast and you really love and you're like, wow, this guy actually knows what he's talking about, enjoy listening to this guy, he's a lot of fun, follow us on our Facebook page at the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast. It's on Facebook. Punch a follow, support us. We love to have discussions with our fans. And again, like I said, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music, you are more than welcome to hit subscribe and follow. So that's basically, let's get that out of the way first. Some real show announcements now. Last week, if you listened to us live on air, yes, we made the official announcement. We will be heading this podcast down to Charlotte this year for the 2025 Coke 600. I'm looking forward to it. Last year, I did the Daytona 500. That was my massive crown jewel. I don't know if anything can ever beat Daytona. It's absolutely one of the greatest tracks I've ever been to. But I'm looking forward to Charlotte. I really am. I'm looking forward to the festivities that surround the Coke 600. I'm excited to meet some of our fans in the North Carolina market. We had a lot of fun last year on the road. We had Martinsville. We had Pocono last year. Darlington, and of course we had Daytona. So we met a good amount of fans of the sport. Hopefully we turned you into fans of this podcast. I'm looking forward to meeting some more fans down in North Carolina when we go down for the Coke 600. Also, other show announcements. If you love listening to us and you are in the Mid Atlantic region, yes, our annual BWB Pocono tailgate will be up and running again this year on June 22nd. We've heard for a couple of weeks now that this is going to happen. We've been promoting it. It's on. We're going to continue getting, hopefully, the momentum. We had a lot of fun with fans last year. Hopefully, we get some more of you this year up at Pocono at the Tricky Triangle. And finally, Dover. We will be doing a live broadcast on July 20th, live from the Monster Mile. Again, looking forward to heading down to Dover for my first time since 2019. Um, NASCAR made a commitment to get it out of April. I always hated that date. They moved it into July. It's going to be part of that midseason tournament. Actually, we got, speaking of midseason tournament, the show announcements, right? Like the shows on the road this year. I did not realize that every single one of them will be a part of the midseason tournament this year. It's pretty cool. So we will definitely see with our own eyes here at the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast how great this midseason tournament is. Like I said, we'll be at Charlotte, we'll be at Pocono, we'll be at Dover. So unfortunately, two of those races will be on Amazon Prime. So I will definitely miss that coverage on Amazon Prime, which I'm looking forward to as well. So a couple show announcements to get us tonight started off. Nothing abnormal. Continuing to promote that will be at those three races. And again, if you love what you're hearing, feel free to subscribe to all of our multiple different platforms. So let's get into tonight's episode. Let's take the green flag. Again, all about Martinsville going into Darlington. We got a great Carolinas, well, not really Carolina swing anymore. We got the real fun, Southern heritage tracks. A lot of our fans, I think, in the sport really, really pride themselves on going to these tracks, watching racing at the tracks. I've been to 2 out of the 3 of the tracks over the next couple of weeks that we'll be racing at. Folks, I will continue saying this, and I'll say it right before we get into the Martinsville discussion. If you have not been to Martinsville or Darlington yet, you must go to either one of those tracks. You have to. It is preferably for me. I'm happy I did the throwback weekend. I would love to do the Southern 500. I feel like that would be such a great event to go to, another crown jewel. I've been to Martinsville. I did one race in the spring. I did one race in the fall. Obviously, we were down there last year in the fall. The fall race was absolutely phenomenal. That was one of the greatest events and the hyped events I've outside Daytona. That event itself was absolutely magnificent with the magnitude of what we were going to endure for 500 laps. Before we get into Martinsville, though, let's talk about our fast headliners, courtesy of jski.com this week. Got a few of them, and it's still some of them revolve around the throwback schemes. First headliner of the week, Wood Brothers Racing. They're going to be named the Grand Marshals for the Goodyear 400 at Darlington Raceway this Sunday. Pretty iconic for me as a fan of the sport, because we go back throwback weekend, which Josh Berry did a fantastic job with his throwback scheme. If you haven't looked at it, we'll post it on our Facebook page, the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast. But then you have Darlington, of course, historical racetrack, and then you have Wood Brothers, a historical ownership franchise in the sport. So they'll be the Grand Marshals for the Goodyear 400 this week at Darlington. Josh Bilicki is going to drive for Garage 66 at Bristol. So Bilicki's going to be back in the sport at the next week. Excuse me. Article or update number 3. Carl Edwards is going to be named the honorary starter for Darlington Cup race. So it's good to see some old faces of the sport that were sensational come back for this throwback weekend. I think that's what NASCAR kind of wants to pride themselves on with the throwback, is bringing great fans or old names back to the track for the fans to, really get excited about. But Carl Edwards will be named the honorary starter for Darlington Cup race. Update number 4. For my Kyle Larson fans, Prime Video to sponsor Kyle Larson for Indianapolis 500 and Coca-Cola 600. Also, it greenlights an upcoming film about the 2020 about the attempt at the Indy 500 and the Coke 600. So you this one's pretty interesting. I'm going to say this. I really like that they're going to be doing something special for Kyle Larson. I think that the sport needs to branch out and branch to more people. And I don't think fans in the world that are strictly like NASCAR fans or Indy fans or Formula One fans or even not even a fan of racing. I don't think they understand the magnitude of what Kyle Larson is trying to attempt or did last year. Well, I would say attempt because of the weather. He didn't race a mile in the Coke 600, but he's trying it again in 2025. I'm really happy with it. This is remarkable. Year 2 of Kyle Larson trying to do this. Now, I got excited last year and I said, listen, I think that there is a massive, there might be a, there might be we might be looking at Kyle Larson winning both these races. We might. And I thought that his Indy practice qualifying runs throughout the May of 2024 were sensational. Obviously, he's got more data, more information on the car, and being able to run that car in Indy. I think he's a legit threat for the Indy 500. You may call me crazy, and let's call it as is. For me, with Kyle, he was a contender last year. He had an issue coming down, speeding issue coming down pit road. That kind of killed him out of the top 10. You give this guy another opportunity. We already know that this dude is the baddest mofo in all of auto racing. This could be a good opportunity that we may end up seeing Kyle Larson win both these races. But we'll get to that when we get to May. But Prime Video will be sponsoring Kyle Larson for the Indy 500 and Coke 600, Greenlight's upcoming film as well. Next update this week. Goodyear ended up running a tire test at Michigan. You're going to start seeing a lot of different tire testings going on at different types of tracks. Again, they sent officials up there for a scheduled tire testing up in Michigan. Next update, Robinhood Stock, the app. They'll be sponsoring Bubba Wallace and Corey Heim in select cup races in 2025. Now, in those select cup races, let's talk about them. Robin Hood will be on Corey Heim's car at Kansas in May, in the number 67. And this article does not have what races Bubba Wallace will be sponsored. Okay. Anyways, Robin Hood will be sponsoring both Bubba Wallace and Corey Heim in select cup races in 2025. Next update, Cody Ware will be doing a throwback scheme to Ward Burton and Tommy Baldwin Racing. I got to say this. I saw the Cody Ware vehicle. It looks really good. I know Rick Ware Racing's in a lot of hot water, and we're going to talk about them in a little bit. But this paint scheme to me brings, like, I always was a big fan of the Caterpillar colors. They did this very well, and we'll definitely post that on our Facebook page at the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast. So, Cody Ware, Darlington Throwback Scheme will be in honor of Ward Burton and Tommy Baldwin Racing. So, final update tonight, and I know we have a lot of fans, and all of these are courtesy of jski.com. Follow them on X, by Facebook, or by web at www.jski.com. Our final update tonight, and I do believe that this is going to impact a lot of our fans, because Lionel ended up adding a surcharge to diecast due to the government tariffs in the United States. So if you're a big diecast collector, expect to pay more to collect these because of the new U.S. tariff or the government tariffs that are added. So all articles courtesy of jski.com. Follow them on Facebook, X, or by web at www.jski.com. So, couple interesting articles I want to go over real quick with all of you before we get into Martinsville. The first one, this past weekend, it was announced the All-Star Race weekend schedule was revealed. This article is courtesy of jski.com. So, a star-studded 4-day NASCAR All-Star Race weekend of show-stopping entertainment and wheel-to-wheel excitement will descend on North Wilkesboro Speedway on May 15th through the 18th, broadcasted by Fox, giving fans the most on-track event week action in the iconic Speedway's history, as well as the 40-year history of the All-Star event. The grand finale of the race week is the 41st running of the All-Star race and a no-holds-barred battle for $1 million on Sunday night, May 18th. But race fans will get plenty of fender bumping short track racing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, preceding Sunday's main event. All right, so here we go. Thursday's schedule includes qualifying for both the ZMAX Cars Tour Pro Late Model and ZMAX Cars Tour Late Model Stock Series, as well as the Reverend Whiskey 75 ZMAX Cars Tour Pro Late Model feature. So that's all on Thursday. NASCAR All-Star Open and race practice sessions kick off on All-Star Friday, presented by Raymore Oil on May 16th, with the NASCAR Pit Crew Challenge presented by Mechanics Wear, a race against the clock for drivers and crews to set the heat race field. So that's now going to be on Friday. On Friday night, you have the ZMAX Cars Tour Late Model Stock Car Nightcap taking the spotlight. For the first time, a nationwide cable television audience will witness the ZMAX Cars Tour's mix of household names and rising stars, with FS1 broadcasting the race live on Friday night. NASCAR Hall of Famer Dale Jr. will join fellow ZMAX Cars Tour co-owner and NASCAR legend Kevin Harvick in the announcer's booth for what is sure to be an event on the tour's schedule. The weekend lineup starts Saturday, May 17th, with Window World 250 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. So we knew the trucks were going to be the day before, which they're going to be doing qualifying, practice, and the race, followed by the All-Star Heat races and a post-race Jake Owen concert on the infield front stretch presented by Raymore Oil. So you got the truck race, actually got all of the truck events, and then you got a Jake Owen concert. Sunday of All-Star Weekend begins with a new addition to the All-Star Weekend. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour will be racing on that Sunday. The modified practice qualifying in a 150 lap feature will be followed by the high octane All-Star Open, where the two top finishers transfer into the main event. The NASCAR All-Star race will be under the lights on Sunday night. So a lot going on All-Star race weekend. You got the Cars Tour, which will be practicing and qualifying on Thursday night. Then on Friday, you have All-Star Open and race practice sessions, which kick off All-Star weekend. And then you have the Pit Crew Challenge, the Cars race on Friday. And then on Saturday, you have the Craftsman Truck Series, everything, along with a Jake Owen concert. And then Sunday, you have modifieds and the Cup race. Incredible event if you're going down there for the All-Star race. Tons of action. Kudos to NASCAR on that. Second article this week. Okay, so this one kind of popped up on April Fool's Day. And I thought I was like, are we all really getting tricked and confused?